Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to try something a little bit different. I'm sitting kind of in my dining room. Normally I just film videos on my phone, so I'm using my computer today, so we're going to see how this goes. But I'm going to be comparing the Morphe Vault to the Kathleenlights palette. And I'll explain why I'm kind of doing that in a minute. I know there's been a lot of controversy. I feel like people are still talking about the vault. I'm sure I'm beating a dead horse. But I have a lot of thoughts and opinions on this, so I thought I would share them with you all. Now, the Morphe Vault launched, I think it's been almost a month. I got the whole vault. Mine are V2 palettes, I believe. I couldn't find a V2 on here, so I don't know where people were seeing that. I ordered my palettes off of the Morphe website when the vault launched. I didn't get them through Ulta. I got all four of them. I never bought the original Jaclyn Hill palette when it first came out. I have it now. I ordered it like a week ago. I didn't have it. It's kind of a big palette. I'm not a huge fan of Morphe shadows. I love their brushes. So I should probably put that disclaimer out that I don't dislike Morphe. I love my Kathleenlights palette that I got from them. I would say 80% of my brushes are Morphe. So I love Morphe's brushes. I had the 35B palette, which was like their colorful one, and I just wasn't super happy with the formula. They were okay. They're a little bit chalky. They weren't as pigmented as I would like. I've gotten spoiled with like Juvia's Place's eyeshadows that are super pigmented, so I ended up just giving it away. So when the Jaclyn Hill palette came out, I was like, oh, that's nice, but I don't really need it. It's kind of big, so I talked myself out of getting it. But when these came along, I thought these were pretty. I like the size. I like that they're small. I'm going to adjust this a little bit. There we go. But I do understand why people are having issues with these. I would say that they're not bad. They're not bad palettes, but I do understand why people are struggling. To me, these are not like a regular eyeshadow. To me, these perform like a pigment. So the issues that people are having, I think, is very reminiscent of the issues people were having with the Subculture palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills when that came out, because those were pressed pigments. A pressed pigment has little or no talc in it. It's exactly what it claims to be. It's straight pigment. And when talc is a filler, and I'll try and explain this as best I can. It's a filler that's put into eyeshadow, and it diffuses color, but it makes it easier to blend. So the more talc you have, the less. It doesn't necessarily make it less pigmented. It can, depends on the formula and how much pigment you're putting in, but it makes them easier to blend. So if you have little or no talc, you're left with pigment, and it's harder to blend. I don't know, the ingredients aren't even on these. The original box I threw away. Now, I do believe there was some controversy that, because Morphe claimed that, when the PR of these original ones went out, like, people had a hard time with them. They were really dry, they were patchy, they weren't blending. So Morphe supposedly destroyed, I'm trying to put them back in the box. Morphe supposedly, tossed all the palettes and went back and had them reformulated and repressed and did all that. Now, the time frame that supposedly all took place was like a month. Now, you can't do all of that in that short amount of time. So do I think that they threw them all out and completely started over? No, I don't think they did that. I think the original batches that they had already that, were part of, what PR got, I think that's probably what ended up at the Ulta stores, because Ulta got their inventory way, before the launch date, sitting in the back room. And then when the launch date happened, they put them out in the stores and people were able to buy them. So Ulta probably had the original batches. Do I think they went back and tried to tweak the formula? Yes. I think they went back and because my box had a sticker on the ingredients. The ingredients that were under the label, and I should have kept the box. I apologize. The ingredients that were on the box originally were different than what was on the label that they put on. So I think they went back and probably tried to tweak some of the more difficult shades. Do I think they went back and completely scrapped everything and started over? No, because that takes time. and they didn't have the time to do that. So I think they probably went in, tried to tweak a few of the difficult shades, the ones that people were having the most trouble with, put out a new batch with that, and that's probably what I have, because there is still blending issues with these. It's not like this is amazing. And the ones, you know, the old ones were horrible. Now, the only reason I think that they did actually tweak some is if you watch some videos online, and I watched a bunch of them, of people who had the old palettes versus the new palettes, the same color in pans, you know, from both, the same color in both palettes, they would put them on one eye and then put the one on the other. There was color discrepancies between the old palette and the new palette. So I do think they went in and tweaked a few things, but I don't think they completely scrapped them and started over, just because, like I said, of the time frame that we were working with. That being said, can you use these? Yes. Are they beginner friendly? No, these are not beginner friendly, not in any shape or form. So I do understand why people are so mad, why they're having so many problems with them. I think the only palette I've used, all three of them. Did I use the purple palette? I swear I've used all of these. I think I have. Maybe I haven't. Maybe I haven't used the purple one yet. I have definitely used this one, the yellow one. Yeah, I thought I used all four, but I don't think I've used the purple one on my eyes. I kind of played around with swatching it and doing some on my hand, but I don't think I actually, no, I take that back. I did use some of the colors out of here. It's been so long since I've used these, I don't remember. That's what happens when there's four of them, and I'm starting to get old, so I don't, my memory's going, I don't remember. The most, I would say, if I was going to recommend one of these, if you were just going to get one and you're still interested in getting them, I would recommend Ring the Alarm. It's this neutral looking one right here. It's got some pink, some orange colors. There's a brown. This palette is probably the most beginner friendly palette out of the four. The green one and the purple one and the yellow all have shades. I mean, they all have shades that are difficult to work with. I would say the green is probably the most difficult out of the four, that in my opinion. Now, I do like the green one. I have been able to make it work, but it's tricky. I've had the best luck. I have a Morphe brush. It's a blending brush, but the bristles are a little bit stiff and it's not as fluffy. And I find that that helps, because the brushes, you know, the bristles are more like this and they're not. It's not a dense blending brush, if that makes sense. And so I find that it's easier because it doesn't deposit so much color in one spot, because these do act like a pressed pigment. So it's not giving me like a concentrated amount of color that I'm struggling to blend. But I dip in, tap, put a little bit, and then move over. Like I want to do a video where I'm using one of them to kind of show you how I'm able to make these work. So I will do that. But yeah, I would say Ring the Alarm is probably going to be, if you're interested in getting one, you want to try them, probably going to be your best bet. Because it is the easiest one. I had the least amount of troubles. Now the glitters in these, I'll bring out Dark Magic. The glitters in these are not great. You need to use a wet brush to get any of these to work. They're a little bit dry. Like, that doesn't look bad to me, but trying to put that on the eye dry, like, there's not a lot of color payoff. If you go in with a wet brush, however, so much better. So I've used the glitters on all of these, and just use a wet brush. That would be my recommendation for that. Now, I do understand why people are complaining now, because like I said, I didn't have the original Jaclyn Hill palette. I bought it. I used it yesterday. It's the only time I've used it, but I did go through and kind of look at the colors. Now, I do understand now why people are mad about the Vault. This is a completely different formula from the shadows that are in the Vault, even the shimmers in here. There's some straight up like glitter ones in there, but the shimmers in here, the formula is different from the shimmers in those. And that confuses me, because they both have Jaclyn Hill's name on. They're both from Morphe. So why is there a formula? Like, why is there such a discrepancy in the formula? Like, that just confuses me. It should be the same formula that's these, because supposedly these shadows were ones that she created that she couldn't fit in here. Now, do I believe that? No, I don't believe that these were leftover shadows. I think these shadows were created for this. There are shades in here that are very similar to a couple that are in the vault, so I can see where a couple of these inspired her to kind of, oh, let's do some, because they're individual, like there's a purple palette and there's a green palette and there's the gold palette and then there's, you know, the warm orangey one. I can see where some of these colors inspired these palettes, but I don't think these were leftover shadows, because that's the thing. People are like, oh, well, they're leftover shadows, that's why they're not as good. No, I don't think that. I think these were developed for that. I think they just, you know, wanted to make it a companion to this, so they said that. This formula is completely different. And the other thing that perplexes me is people are like, well, these are $15 palettes. They're not going to be that great. You know, the original Jaclyn Hill palette is like $40. This palette right here, nobody talks about this. I don't know why people aren't comparing it to this. This came out like 2 years ago. This is the Kathleenlights Morphe collab. This palette right here was $14.99. And it has more eyeshadows in it. If you never got this, I would recommend trying to find, even if it's used, have somebody clean it, like buy it secondhand. This palette is amazing. So I don't understand how they can create this. Now, granted, this doesn't have a mirror, but I would have rather them not included a mirror in the Vault palettes and just had them be better, because that's why this is priced the way it is, because it has a mirror. This is a penny cheaper. This palette's amazing. These blend, they're pigmented, like super easy to use. Like I said, this is a 2-year-old palette. You can see, like, I've hit pan, like not hit pan, but there's dents in a lot of these. Like, I've used this palette a lot. I don't understand how this formula is so vastly different from this formula. Like, I don't even, like, that confuses me. I don't understand. But yeah, these are good, but you need to have patience and you need to have some time. None of these palettes are like a 5 or 10 minute, like throw some eyeshadow on your eye and go. You need to have some time to be able to sit and blend these out to get them to work. But they are usable. They're not bad. But yeah, if you can find this palette, like I said, it's the same price. And there's more eyeshadows in here. And the formula, and this is an old palette. And I'll get a shimmery one. They're so soft. They're so easy to blend. Now, I understand that a finger swatch, that's one swipe. Now you can see, like, I don't understand how these are so soft and easy to blend, because you can see, like, this just blends. Like, it's easy to blend. And the shimmer, like, especially going in with a wet brush, like, I don't understand how they can create, like, I'm still, like, these are pigmented. Like, I'm still getting color all over. I don't understand. They're the same price. This little palette is the same price that this palette was. Completely different formula. And if you go back, I did a review on the 35B palette, and I complained about the formula from the 35B to that, because this was the first Morphe palette I ever bought. So I was like, oh, their formula is amazing. I'm going to get the 35B palette. And then I was like, oh, and then after that, I'll get the 35O. I never bought the 35O because I didn't like the 35B palette, because the formula in that was night and day compared to this. It's not the same formula that they used for this. So I don't understand why, like, every palette they come out with is a different formula. Like, are they using different labs? Like, they're using this lab for their collab palettes, but I don't even think that they're using one lab just for collabs because of what happened with this. But yeah, it's confusing. But I'm going to do a video where I will actually I'll use probably the green or the purple one, probably the green one. The green one seems to be giving people the most trouble. So I'm going to do a video where I put it on my eyes so you can kind of see, I'm an average person. I'm a cosmetology student, but I'm not a makeup artist. So you can kind of see how I make them work. And yeah, hopefully this video was a little bit helpful. Again, yeah, if you can get your hands on this palette, it's amazing, and it's still amazing. Yeah, I can understand people's frustration. So if you have them, even if you got them from Ulta, try different brushes and just be patient because you can make these work. I don't want people to think that I'm trying to say that the Vault's bad. It's not, but they're challenging. They're for sure challenging. So yeah, thank you so much for taking some time. Hopefully this was a little bit helpful. And yeah, I will be putting up another video where I use one of these. So yeah, definitely hit that subscribe button if you haven't, because you won't want to miss out on that. And I will see you all in my next video.